Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. No human had ever been allowed to speak last before the Galactic Ethics Tribunal. Dr. Elias Carter stood alone at the center of the chamber while thousands of holographic figures hovered in a wide circle around him. Some were real officials, some were recorded delegates, and some were artificial intelligences speaking for entire civilizations. The chamber itself floated in open space, anchored by gravity fields and soft blue light. Beyond the transparent walls, a red dwarf star burned quietly, uncaring. Elias folded his hands behind his back and waited. The tribunal's central construct pulsed once, a slow rhythm meant to signal authority. "Dr. Elias Carter," the voice said, layered and emotionless. "You are charged with initiating prohibited research that risks biological destabilization, cultural collapse, and interspecies contamination. Do you deny these charges?" Elias did not answer right away. He looked around the chamber instead, at the sharp-angled beings of the Vierx Collective, at the flowing light forms of the Orales Union, at the insectal Thren envoys who clicked softly among themselves. Entire star systems were watching him through these representatives. Finally, he spoke. "I deny that curiosity is a crime," Elias said calmly. A ripple moved through the chamber. Several delegates shifted, others dimmed or brightened, adjusting emotional displays. "You were warned," the construct continued. "You were ordered to halt your work." "Yes," Elias said, "I was." "And you continued." "Yes." Silence fell heavy, intentional. The tribunal paused, as if deciding whether a human was worth the extra seconds of processing. "Then explain," the construct said, "why we should not erase your research and remove your species from all future collaborative science." Elias exhaled slowly. Because 3 months earlier, none of this had existed. The door outside Laboratory Wing 7 did not like him. It scanned Elias for a long moment, lights flickering across the smooth metal surface. He stood patiently, mug of coffee in one hand, datapad in the other. The station around him hummed softly, a massive research hub orbiting the neutral world of Kepri Station. "Identity confirmed," the door said at last. "Emotional state irregular." "That's just my face," Elias replied. The door paused, then opened. Elias stepped inside, smiling faintly. Winning small arguments against machines was one of life's quiet pleasures. Laboratory Wing 7 was empty as usual. That was by design. His work was considered theoretically uncomfortable, which was the polite galactic term for "please stop asking that." Elias set his coffee down and activated the main display. Streams of data lit the air. Genetic models rotated slowly, overlapping, separating, then overlapping again. The question that haunted him was simple. Why hasn't anyone tried this? The galaxy was full of intelligent species. Thousands of them. They traded, fought, allied, and shared technology. Yet one assumption remained untouched, that deep biological integration between species was too dangerous to explore. Not impossible. Just dangerous. Humans, Elias thought, had never been good at respecting that word. "Dr. Carter," a calm voice said from behind him. Elias turned sharply. Ambassador Celira stood near the entrance, hands folded, posture perfect. She looked almost human at first glance. Almost. Her skin carried a faint silver tone and her eyes reflected light a fraction too slowly. Thin, elegant ridges traced her temples, shifting slightly as she focused. "You're early," Elias said. "I prefer to observe systems before they fail," Celira replied. She was his assigned observer. Officially, she represented the Niran Accord. Unofficially, she was there to make sure humans did not do something reckless. "Again." Elias gestured toward the display. "Good news, nothing has failed yet." "That is rarely how failure announces itself," she said calmly. They worked in silence for a while. Celira studied the models with intense focus, occasionally adjusting a variable. Elias watched her from the corner of his eye. She was precise, efficient, and far too curious for someone meant to shut him down. After several minutes, Celira spoke. "These compatibility projections," she said, "they exceed expected tolerance ranges." Elias nodded. "I noticed." "This research was abandoned centuries ago," she continued. "Multiple civilizations deemed it unstable." "Yes," Elias said, "based on incomplete data." She turned to him. "You believe everyone else is wrong." "I believe everyone else stopped asking," Elias replied. Celira considered that. Her facial ridges shifted, a subtle sign of processing. Humans display unusual persistence. "We call it optimism," Elias said. "Sometimes it's stupidity, hard to tell in the moment." A faint curve touched her lips, not quite a smile. The station chimed softly. "Ethical threshold approaching," the system announced. Elias froze. Celira's gaze sharpened. "You crossed a monitored boundary." "Yes," Elias said quietly. "I was hoping no one noticed yet." The lights dimmed slightly as the station's oversight systems engaged. Data streams duplicated themselves, routing toward secure channels. "You understand the consequences," Celira said. "I understand the risks," Elias replied. "That's not the same thing." Celira stepped closer to the display. "If this research proceeds, it will challenge foundational law." "Every useful discovery does," Elias said. The system chimed again. "Notice sent to Galactic Ethics Consortium." Elias closed his eyes. "Well," he muttered, "that escalated quickly." The first summons arrived less than an hour later. By the time Elias entered the preliminary tribunal chamber, representatives from 12 species were already present. The atmosphere was tense, sharp with judgment. "Dr. Carter," an avian delegate rasped, "explain why your work should not be terminated immediately." Elias took a breath. "Because it works." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Your simulations are theoretical," another voice said. "So we're faster than light drives," Elias replied, "until humans kept blowing them up." Celira stood beside him, silent but attentive. "You risk destabilizing interspecies relations," the construct said. "Yes," Elias said, "or strengthening them." The debate dragged on. Questions, accusations, warnings wrapped in polite language. Elias answered carefully, honestly. He did not exaggerate, he did not beg. Finally, the ruling came. "Your research is suspended," the construct declared. "All data will be secured pending further review." Elias nodded. He waited until the chamber began to disperse. Then he spoke softly. "I already backed it up." The chamber stilled. Celira turned toward him, eyes wide for the first time since he had met her. "You did what?" she asked. Elias met her gaze. "Science doesn't move forward by asking permission from fear." The alarms did not sound, not yet. But somewhere deep in the station systems, a line had been crossed. That night, Elias did not sleep. He sat alone in his quarters, staring at the slow drift of stars beyond the viewport. His console flickered with unread messages, warnings, requests, thinly veiled threats. A soft chime broke the silence. "Incoming request, Ambassador Celira." He hesitated, then accepted. Her image formed above the console. She looked unsettled. "You risk everything," she said. "Yes," Elias replied, "but not without reason." "You risk your species," she corrected. Elias leaned back. "We've done that before." She studied him carefully. "Why?" Elias thought for a long moment. "Because if the universe is big," he said slowly, "then it should be shared, not divided by rules written by people who were afraid to try." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Celira said, "If the tribunal escalates, there will be consequences." "I know," Elias said. She inclined her head. "Then you should know this as well. I did not report your backup." Elias blinked. "Why not?" "Because," she said, "I am curious." The connection ended. Elias stared at the empty air, heart pounding. Outside his quarters, the station continued its quiet orbit. Systems adjusted. Doors opened without hesitation. And far away, beyond human space, the Galactic Ethics Tribunal prepared to reconvene. This time not to warn, but to judge. The tribunal reconvened without ceremony. There was no warning chime this time, no polite delay. Every screen Elias Carter owned activated at once, projecting the same message in calm blue text. Mandatory appearance required, full tribunal session. Elias sighed and set his mug down. "Of course," he muttered, "no coffee refill first." By the time he entered the primary tribunal chamber, the atmosphere had changed. This was no longer a discussion. It was judgment. The chamber was fuller than before. More species, more observers. Even private entities had found ways to listen in. The galaxy had sensed something important was happening. Celira stood beside him again, her expression unreadable, but Elias noticed the subtle angle of her temple ridges. Alert, focused. "Dr. Elias Carter," the central construct intoned, its voice heavier than before. "You were ordered to suspend all activity. Instead, you concealed and preserved prohibited data." "Yes," Elias said. A wave of disapproval rippled through the chamber. "Do you understand," the construct continued, "that your actions threaten galactic stability?" Elias lifted his chin slightly. "I understand that stability without growth is decay." Several delegates reacted sharply. "Human philosophy is not law," snapped a crystalline being from the Lorth Assembly. "No," Elias agreed, "but curiosity built every law you're standing on." Celira stepped forward. "With permission," she said calmly. The chamber paused. The tribunal had not invited her to speak. "Granted," the construct said after a moment. Celira turned to the assembly. "I have reviewed Dr. Carter's data independently. His conclusions are not reckless. They are incomplete only because the galaxy chose fear over verification." "You defend this human," demanded a Thren delegate. "I defend the process," Celira replied, "which our laws claim to value." Silence followed. The construct pulsed. "The concern is not whether the research is possible, it is what it represents." Elias nodded. "Change," he said simply. "Yes," the construct replied, "and humans have a reputation for accelerating change beyond control." Elias smiled faintly. "That's fair." A few delegates shifted uncomfortably. "Then let me ask you something," Elias continued. "How many of you exist because someone ignored a warning and tried anyway?" No one answered. "FTL travel," Elias said. "Energy synthesis, neural interfacing. Half the galaxy's medical tech was called impossible once. Humans just kept trying." "And how many times did you fail?" asked the construct. Elias didn't hesitate. "Most of the time." A ripple of confusion spread. "That's the point," he said. "We fail, we learn, we adjust. We don't pretend safety comes from standing still." The chamber remained quiet. The construct processed for several long seconds. "Your research," it said at last, "has reached a critical threshold." Elias felt Celira tense beside him. "Proceeding further will require active participation," the construct continued. "Not simulation, not theory." Elias swallowed. "Yes." "Do you consent to personal accountability for all outcomes?" the construct asked. "Yes." "And you," it said, turning to Celira, "do you consent?" Celira met Elias' gaze. There was no fear there, only choice. "Yes," she said. The chamber erupted. Protests, warnings, demands for delay, the galaxy arguing with itself in real time. The construct raised its tone, cutting through the noise. Enough. Silence fell again. This tribunal will permit a controlled continuation, it declared. Under observation, under strict limitation. Elias exhaled slowly. But understand this, the construct added. If this fails, responsibility will not be shared. Elias nodded. I wouldn't want it to be. The containment habitat was nothing like Elias expected. No harsh lights, no cold metal. The space adjusted itself smoothly, adapting to both human and Nyran physiology. Soft gravity, warm ambient light. A place designed to observe not just bodies but behavior. This feels unsettling, Elias said as the door sealed behind them. Celira tilted her head, because it is gentle. Yes, Elias replied. That usually means something is watching very closely. She considered that an accurate assessment. The first phase was data collection, baselines, stress markers, cognitive alignment. Elias focused on the work, grateful for something familiar. But awareness crept in slowly. The way the system responded differently when they stood closer. The subtle shifts in environmental parameters when their conversations grew less formal. At one point, the system chimed softly. Emotional synchronization increasing. Elias groaned. That's not helpful. It is informative, Celira replied. For the system, Elias said, not for my nerves. She studied him. Humans experience discomfort when observed too closely. We call it privacy, Elias said. Fascinating, she replied. We call it inefficiency. Despite himself, Elias laughed. Days passed, then weeks. The galaxy watched, commented, debated endlessly. Nothing exploded. The data stabilized. Compatibility held. One evening, as they stood by the observation window watching a distant nebula drift slowly across the stars, Elias spoke quietly. If this works, he said, everything changes. Yes, Celira agreed. You're not afraid. She considered the question. I am aware of risk. Fear implies loss of control. And you don't feel that. She looked at him then, directly. No. Elias nodded slowly. Humans do. I know, she said. That is why your courage is loud. The system chimed again. Readiness confirmed. Elias closed his eyes. This is it, he said. Yes, Celira replied, together. The procedure itself was quiet. Deliberate, careful, every variable monitored, every change recorded. Elias talked through it, voice steady despite his racing heart. He explained systems out loud, more for himself than anyone else. Celira listened, one hand resting lightly against the interface. When his voice faltered, she did not comment. She simply stayed present. The system adjusted, data flowed. Then slowly, unmistakably, the projections changed. Stability. Viability. The system paused, as if confirming reality. Outcome confirmed. Elias stared at the display. It worked, he whispered. Yes, Celira said. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Elias laughed, a short, disbelieving sound that echoed softly in the chamber. We did it, he said. We actually did it. Celira's expression softened. Yes. The galaxy reacted instantly. Emergency sessions, celebrations, condemnations, entire civilizations arguing over meaning and consequence. The tribunal reconvened one final time. Elias stood before them again, calmer than before. The outcome is stable, the construct announced. Unprecedented, irreversible. Elias nodded, so is progress. The construct studied him. Humanity has altered the trajectory of interspecies understanding. Good, Elias said. It needed adjusting. A pause. "Dr. Carter," the construct said, "what do humans call this moment?" Elias thought for a long second. "A beginning," he said. Silence followed. Then, unexpectedly, the construct spoke again. "The tribunal acknowledges the result. Restrictions will be revised." Celira exhaled softly. The chamber dimmed. The galaxy had not ended. It had adapted. Later, standing once more by the observation window, Elias felt the weight of it settle in. "I used to think science was about answers," he said. "And now?" Celira asked. "Now I think it's about responsibility." She nodded. "Humans carry responsibility loudly as well." He smiled. "We try." Beyond the glass, the universe stretched vast and indifferent, yet changed just a little. Because one human had asked a forbidden question and refused to stop asking. And